The future for Hoyoverse and Star Rail is looking absolutely horrible. Pretty sure everyone that's been playing this game and keeping up with it have noticed that this company has not only gotten greedier over time, but has treated its players worse and worse with every update, and wonder why everyone's always giving them so much shit. Now with tribbie coming around the corner, there's something that I'm pretty sure we all need to mention here. Eidolons and copies for characters have become necessary for them to even be playable. Lycones and Eidolons used to be something that you would actually pull if you wanted to bring out just a little bit more of their potential. But now it's starting to seem that Eidolons and Lycones are just parts of their kit that have been ripped off and sold to us as copies or light cones for convenience. Now don't get me wrong, this has been happening for a long time, not even just on Star Rail, but this has been happening on Genshin as well. Now, people do praise Fontaine for how amazing it was during the story in Genshin Impact, but they don't realize that Fontaine was also the beginning of needing constellations to complete characters, with Lenny being one of the first characters to be introduced in Fontaine. His C1 giving him an extra hat, plus an easier way for him to gain an extra stack to get to his 5-stack max limit for his max damage. Neuvillette, debatably the strongest character in the whole game, is based around having a lot of HP to do their damage, but is also locked behind not being able to use a double hydro resonance unless you get their C1. Wriothesley's damage potential locked behind his C1, which makes him do more damage when he's under 60% HP. But because he can't actually heal himself good enough, you will actually need to pull C4 to actually fix his HP issue. Farina needing her C1 and C2 to actually get fanfare stacks reliably. Arlecchino being worse to play unless you have her C2. Honestly making every character feel incomplete or nerfed unless you get their C1 or C2 to actually make them playable. And I'm not even gonna go into Mavwika, but not only her best in slot unit ran with her, but she's the only Archon in the game that doesn't have full uptime on her skill unless you C6 her. Now, I know a lot of you people might be thinking, well, it's optional to get extra copies or to get a weapon or a light cone for a character, which is fine in itself, but you do have to realize without an extra copy or two or the Lycona weapon, you are effectively playing and using a worse version of the character, because they are taking parts of their kit and are locking it between Eidolons and constellations to make you want to pull for them to effectively use the unit how it was intended to play with from the beginning. Now, not only has this become a really big issue where they are literally ripping parts of a character's kit and selling it to us as extra copies or as a fix with their weapon or light cone. Now in Star Rail, they do something that's even worse than what they do in Genshin, and that is making best in slot characters either run with each other on the same banner or run multiple times after that character has released. Now, when it comes to tribbie, for example, so with tribbie, not only does she do constant follow-ups, her ultimate only has a pool of 120. So not only does she buff everyone's damage, but her damage herself also scales off HP and the HP of your party. Now I know what you might be thinking, why is that such a big issue? Like, fair enough, you just build her on HP and whatever. But what you have to realize is the next few characters that are appearing after her work well with her. And this is a thing that's always been happening in Star Rail. We're always a character would come out and then their best in slot character will either run with them or right after them. So because Tribbie's damage is based on her HP, and she also gets more damage based on the amount of HP that your party has, so she gets a certain percentage added to her HP, so she will do more damage if your party had more HP. Because Mighty and Castrus are going to be HP based and they need a crap ton of HP to make the most out of their damage, this means that if you are going to pull Tribbie, you might as well pull Mighty and Castrus as well, which they are going to be running right after each other. And let us also not forget that Mighty is also running with Huahua as well, so if you are actually investing in any of these 3.0 and further characters, you will actually need her as well, because she offers energy regeneration. And because all of the 3.0 and further characters need a lot of energy regeneration because of how huge their energy requirements are, not only will you need to pull for her as well, but if you don't have Sunday, you'll also need to save up for Sunday on top of all those characters, which I'm sure it will be fine, right? Because all of us just casually always have over 200 pulls just sitting there when every single character comes out every single 2 weeks. That's a must pull. People always are saying that, oh, Honko's Star Rail is amazing because they're generous. But I don't see how getting a free multi every month is enough to pull 2 to 3 characters every time they run a banner every 2 weeks. I'm really getting sick of this because they literally make it to where you're punished if you skip just one character. Didn't get Sunday? Well, all the 3.0 characters and plus are going to be worse if you want them because you skipped him. Used all your pulls to get Fei Xiao, but don't have Robin. Oh, that's very unfortunate because you can't use her full potential without Robin. Oh, what's that? You're using Fei Xiao, but you don't have any other follow-up units except Dr. Ratio? Well, make sure you pull on Topaz. Oh, what's that? You don't have Topaz? Oh, well, that's unfortunate because your Fei Xiao is going to do less damage now. Finally pulled Kafka after waiting so long for her rerun, but also don't have enough to get Black Swan. That's quite unfortunate because now you can't bring out Kafka's full potential and you'll have to replace Black Swan with multiple 4-star dot units that are really terrible just to make her partially decent, on top of which dot characters aren't even that good anyway, so you're even playing a even worse version of her than they currently are. Pulled for Boothill or Firefly, but don't have Rowan May. That's fine, just keep playing a mediocre version of the character until you have enough to pull her when she gets a rerun. Didn't pull for Aglaya, well, too bad because she needs Sunday, and without Sunday, unless you have her at E1, she is absolutely horrible to actually use. Now on top of this, if you think all of this wasn't bad enough, they have basically made it to where unless you also pull the 5-star light cone for that character, they completely underperform. So not only do you need the character, multiple idle lines, and the light cone, but you need to pull multiple characters in a row, and on top of that, their light cones as well. Just play Withering Waves at this point because this company just gives zero fucks about you.